Welcome to this e-learning module on orientation for the Internal Committee for Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, in short known as IC. Over the course of next 30 minutes, we will learn about the following topics: salient features of Sexual Harassment Act 2013, key definitions and concepts, composition and roles and responsibilities of the IC, addressing sexual harassment complaints, recommended interviewing techniques for the IC, arriving at the findings, recommendations to the employer, and statutory reporting, and dealing with tricky situations and challenges. As discussed in the previous section, prevention, prohibition, and redressal are the three key elements of the Sexual Harassment Act 2013. In this section, we will cover prevention and prohibition. Let us begin by understanding about the various authorities responsible for preventing and prohibiting the workplace sexual harassment, who are the employer, appropriate government body, district officer, and the complaints committee. As a part of the prevention and prohibition under the Act, the employers are responsible for constitution of the internal committee as per the Act, formulation and communication of the sexual harassment policy within the organization, which provides a detailed framework for prevention and redressal of sexual harassment, ensure capacity and skill building of internal committee, widely publicizing names and contact details of internal committee members, and creating a common email ID for the complainant or any aggrieved person to reach out to the internal committee. Carry out awareness and orientation for all employees. Let us now learn about the roles and responsibilities of IC. The IC is responsible for investigating every formal written complaint of sexual harassment, taking appropriate remedial measures to respond to any substantiated allegations of sexual harassment in an unbiased manner, ensure resolution of the complaints within the given time frame and appropriate recording and filing of reports, creating awareness campaign about sexual harassment law, organizational policy on sexual harassment, and the service rules in relation to sexual harassment. As per the Act, the IC for the purpose of inquiry shall have the same powers as are vested in a civil court under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 when trying a suit in respect of the following matters: summoning and enforcing the attendance of any person and examining him on oath, requiring the discovery and production of documents and any other matter which may be prescribed, including cross-examination. So how should the IC address a complaint? Addressing a complaint is a 6-stage process in which Stage 1 is receipt of the complaint. Stage 2 is planning. Stage 3 is interviews with the involved parties. Stage 4 is reasoning, which mainly consists of analysis. Stage 5 is arriving at findings and recommendation. And last and final stage is preparing and submission of report to the employer. In the next few slides, we will learn about each stage in detail. Basis the reasoning of all the information, IC will arrive at a finding whether the complaint is upheld, not upheld, or inconclusive. The IC shall share its finding with both the parties and provide them an opportunity to make representation against it before the committee. Click the respective section to know about it. Dealing with workplace sexual harassment complaints is often complex, and the IC may come across certain challenging aspects in the course of addressing a complaint. Let us look at some scenarios which an IC might have to face. These are dealing with false or malicious complaints, dealing with anonymous complaints, dealing with situations where enough women employees are not there to form an IC after completion of the term, cross-examination of the complainant and respondent, and dealing with complaints made by male employee. Let us now learn about dealing with anonymous complaints with the help of a scenario. The IC of BFSL has received an anonymous complaint about sexual harassment in the Risk Management Department. The complaint has all the details like the name of the alleged harasser, incidences, dates, etc., but does not name the complainant. Should IC address such a complaint? Dealing with complaints made by a male employee. While the IC is under no obligation under the Act to address a male employee's complaint, as the Act is not gender neutral and covers only women employees, the IC should not ignore such complaints and should examine the seriousness of the complaint under the anti-harassment policy and service rules of the organization to make the workplace harassment-free, fair, and just for all. COVID-19 has led to organizations having to adapt to employees working from home. So let us take a look at some important aspects of the role of IC during this period of working from home. Creating awareness. IC can create awareness about types of sexual harassment that can occur while working from home and sensitize employees on how an aggrieved woman can file a complaint while working from home. As per the Posh Act, an aggrieved woman must file a complaint in writing to the IC. The IC can review the company's Posh policy to explicitly include email as an accepted mode of complaint. The IC can aid in writing of the complaint if the complainant has given complaint in any other form or seeks it for any reason. All employees must be communicated via email or intranet about these new inclusions or changes in the Posh policy. Process of conducting virtual inquiry and IC proceedings. While the inquiry process steps and redressal mechanism remains the same as covered in detail in the earlier sections of the module, it may be noted that while conducting the virtual inquiry, inform the aggrieved witness and the respondent in advance if you require a video call. It is also useful to communicate expected timelines to the parties involved due to the changing nature of inquiry.